Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space. And a couple of cards using the newest from the February 2025 release from Altenew Mini Delight set. If you are newer to card making or just newer to Altenew, every month they have like a little Mini Delight set, and it's a little die set. I say little, this one's quite big, and a coordinating stamp set. And the more I've been paying attention, I really like them. Don't get me wrong, I'll never not love the large florals. Altenew has some of the absolute ginormous floral stamps and dies, all the things. Love it, love them, will never not. But these mini sets are really fun. And if you are a beginner or just like, getting into it or just haven't looked at them, I highly recommend checking them out because there's a lot of options. And I had so much fun with this set. I wish I had more time because the ideas are rolling and it's like, I could have done this 10 different ways from Sunday. But I used it in 2 different ways. I also used one of the new Shimmer relief pastes, which I already did a video kind of doing a quick little overview of these. And I'll have that linked in the end screen at the end of the video. And yeah, splatter, all the things. So, as always, I'll have links to all the things in the description box below the video. If you just expand it, it'll all be there. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I do get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It is what helps pay the bills, keeps my heaters running, enables me to continue bringing out content. That's it for all the chatter and housekeeping. Let's get into making the cards. So the first thing I did was work on my backgrounds. And for this first background, I'm using the scattered tiles. It's a builder stencil set, so it's actually 2 layers. But I'm only using 1 stencil and only 1 portion of it. And then I'm using one of the new Shimmer relief pastes. This is the one in Enchanted Gold, which love, of course. And yeah, like I mentioned in the intro, I went somewhat in depth and gave my first impressions of these in my previous video of them. And I'll have that linked in the end screen. And one of the things I'd mentioned was how it might be cool to apply the paste with this little foam dauber over a stencil. So that's what I did. I've really sped this up because it didn't take a long time. It took a little bit because I wanted to build it up. And with a little foam applicator like this, to be able to build it up, it needs to dry, which applying it in this way, it does dry quite quickly. So I just kind of worked from one end to the other, and then I just went back and added a little bit more. And you could apply it normally. And in the previous video, that's what I did. I just used a palette knife and just scraped it over the stencil. That's great. All this does is just, it creates a different look because the foam creates a texture. So it's not as reflective, but it's still pretty. It's fun. And doing it this way, it does dry really quickly. Also, FYI, even though it dried on the stencil, it cleans up so easily. I'm actually really quite impressed. And for my little foam applicator tool, I actually just sprayed some paper towel with water and then kind of wrapped it in there because I knew I was going to use it more, like in this crafty session. So rather than cleaning it off, I just wrapped it in the wet paper towel, set it aside. Then for my second background, I'm using the floral image from the Breezy Quest little mini delight stamp set. I like this. This is still a good size little floral stamp. This could have just been the focus of a card. Like I said, if I had had more time, there's so many things I could have done. So all I did though was I lined it up in my stamp wheel. Both of these pieces of cardstock are A2 size, by the way, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So I lined it up. I stamped it with Altenew's Obsidian ink, rotated the panel, stamped it a second time, set that aside. And then for the little hot air balloon, that's part of this set. That's the die set that coordinates. I die cut various colors of Altenew cardstock. So for the balloon itself, I used pink diamond as my base. And then I've got puffy heart, purple wine, and cosmic berry. And I'll have them all listed in the description box below the video. Assembling this is really easy. There's no guide or anything. It's pretty straightforward. You've got the base and then the little pieces. You could choose not to use the little pieces. Just looking at this now, you could die cut the base from pattern paper. So many ideas, you guys. I need more hours in the day. I need more days in the week. And I need to clone myself. I don't think I'm asking for too much. Because, like, literally, as I'm doing voiceovers like this, I'm getting more ideas. And it's like, darn it. Anyway, I adhered the pieces. Super simple. You could also pop these up with foam, foam tape, foam squares, whatever, and like really create some dimension. I just adhered them flat, especially because what I want to do with both of these, which I'm going to do something different with each one. For the basket portion of this, I use some Neenah Desert Storm and then Altenew's Mocha and Espresso cardstocks. And just, again, adhere those little pieces together and then adhere them to the balloon. The other one, I'm leaving the basket off, and you'll see why in a second. So got these adhered together, so that one is complete for the moment. And then this one, I didn't adhere the basket yet because I'm going to take my little foam applicator and that Enchanted Gold Shimmer Relief Paste, and I'm going to apply it very lightly. And this, I knew it was going to do this, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I got ideas. If you apply these really light like this, you don't really see it till I tilt it in the light, but it creates that like sheen. It's pretty. So like just over color cardstock, just create just that soft sort of shimmery look. So yeah, again, ideas. So I just applied it along kind of the top and the bottom just to build that sort of shine and dimension on this. And that's it for that. And then I finished assembling that balloon. For the other one that I didn't add the paste to, this one I'm going to stamp that floral image onto. And I just kind of lined it up again in my stamp wheel. I took some of the Altenew satin foam tape and just taped the balloon down after I used my anti-static powder tool to make sure the embossing powder doesn't go where I don't want it. And then I just taped this in case I needed to stamp it twice. However, I did actually re-ink my clear embossing ink. So it's extra juicy. So I don't need to ink it up and re-stamp it. So that was kind of redundant, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. So I stamped, after I used the anti-static powder tool, I stamped that floral on top of the balloon with the clear embossing ink. And then I poured on gold embossing powder over it, tapped off the excess, and then I'm going to melt this with my heat tool. So that'll also create, just a fun pattern on this. So got my heat tool good and hot, melted that, and then that's the second way I did this balloon. So once that was done, I've got my backgrounds here. The paste is dry. Heck, it was dry pretty much by the time I removed the stencil. And so I decided to cut these down. I took like a 1/4 inch off each side. So they originally started out A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And by cutting that off each side, these end up being like 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So trim those down. And then I added baker's twine to both of these. Didn't film that. Thought I was. Okay, it is what it is. But I've shown that in a million videos. Just wrap the baker's twine around, tied it in a bow. I popped the balloons into place with some foam squares. And then we're going to add splatter, of course. So the first splatter is the carbon black gouache. Put a bit of that on my palette. Took my fan brush, watered that down a bit to get it to a nice splatterable consistency, and had the card fronts in my splat box, and then just added a little bit, not a ton, just a little bit, just a little healthy dose of splatter to both of these. So, and I don't mind getting the splatter on the baker's twine and the balloon. That was all fine with me. So applied that, and then I'm going to take the Enchanted Gold relief paste. Because these are water-based, you can do this. You can water these down. And the one thing I will next time is maybe I won't use my fan brush to actually water it down, because the fan brush just absorbed all the paste. It was interesting. I would just use a different brush. It worked fine. It was just interesting. So I added some water to, again, just thin it out, get it to a decent consistency, and then splattered with that too. It is tinted a bit. I didn't clean my brush very good when I used the black gouache. This is what I mean about that black gouache. It is heavily pigmented, but it was still fine. But just something to note. It would have been a million times more obvious if I had been using the pearl, the white shimmer relief paste. It probably would have turned gray. In fact, it would have, because my brush is just not clean, but that's on me. Anyway, splattered with the paste, so that's fun. Let that dry. And then for my little die cut sentiment, this is from the Houseplants layering die set from Altenew. I already did a video using this set. I love this set. I love it. I had so much fun making those cards. So I just took the word and outline die from that set and die cut it from some scraps of white and black cardstock. And for the word, I showed this in the previous video I did using these pastes, is I'm going to apply the paste with that foam dauber onto those die cuts. And yeah, it's something, and I can't show it, especially on a small area like this. It creates a texture, because you can also just scrape the paste over a piece of cardstock and die cut it. That works too. It's just a different look. And when you use something like this little foam dauber, it creates a texture that it's just fun in real life. It's kind of similar to glitter paper, because there is like a micro glitter in this paste. But yeah, I don't know. It's satisfying, even on a little finicky, because it's die cut small. So I use my little perfect picker tool from Altenew to kind of hold things in place. I could have stuck these to my grip mat, because again, this paste cleans up. That's another reason I've been really liking it. It cleans up really easily. Like, I had it dried on my glasswork surface. I was able to buff it off with some water and a paper towel. When I cleaned my stencil, it was dry on the stencil. And generally, I've talked about this, pastes, when they dry on a stencil, are a nightmare to remove. I took it to my sink, and I was able to remove it with like the little jet spray in my kitchen sink. It came right off. You guys, I'm a fan. I've been enjoying it. So, yeah. So I did the same thing as I was doing with the stencil. I kind of built up the layers to get the intensity I wanted. You could keep it a lot more subtle depending on the look you're going for. But if I'm using anything with like a gold look, go big or go home. You know, I want the gold. So I'm thinking about like Austin Powers. Anyway, let that dry, which again, dried pretty quickly. I adhered the layers together with craft tacky glue. And then I'm popping these into place also with some foam squares. So popping these into place on my card fronts here, just like so. And then once these are adhered, I need to create the insides of my cards. Or did I do, I bordered these. I took a piece of did I use purple wine? No, I used the Puffy Heart cardstock, and I cut panels just slightly bigger than these panels and adhered them together with the craft tacky glue. So it just frames it up and just brings out more of that pink, you know? And adhere those together. And then these are going to go on my card bases, which are top folding A2 white note cards, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So my card bases, I'm going to put these into my stamp wheel. And then I'm going to center that floral stamp on what's going to be the inside of my cards. And then I took just a light pink ink. This is rose quartz ink, which is part of the like rose petal quad. And this is the quad. This is the lightest shade that goes with the shades like Puffy Heart, Purple Wine, Cosmic Berry. So I stamped that onto the inside with that really light pink ink. And then kept the stamp in place, stuck the second card base in, stamped that as well. And then I just took one of the sentiments from this little set. There's several little sentiments in this set, but I just took the one that said sending smiles across miles, and lined that up into the center of each of these card bases. And then that I'm going to ink up and stamp with the Obsidian black ink that I used on like stamping the florals at the beginning for the one card front. So line that up, and then same thing. Remove the card base, stuck the second one into place, stamp the sentiment, and that finished off the insides of both of these cards. And then once those are stamped, I let that ink dry, because the pigment ink takes a little bit longer to dry, and generally off camera I just blast it with my heat tool to speed it up. So let that dry, and then adhered the card fronts to the card bases. And then you could leave it as this, it's fine, but I added one final little embellishment, and that's the crystal clear enamel dots. Just subtle, you know, because I got a lot going on. I've got the gold, the Enchanted gold, shimmer relief paste, and splatter, and all the things. So this just adds that little extra something without being, you know, too much. That said, trust me, I could have added like 5 types of bling and found a justification for it. It is what it is. But yeah, these are self-adhesive, so I just picked them up with the picker tool and then pressed them into place. And they just give that little extra something. I'm going to end up having to get more of these because I've already used up almost half the pack. Anyway, pressed them into place, And then these cards are complete. So I'll try and show like close up, because again, it's trying to show the actual texture is so difficult. So difficult on camera. Yeah, it's just a fun way to use them. So we've got shine and shimmer and texture and splatter and these cute little hot air balloons, which I just think are adorable. So yeah, a couple different ways to use just this little mini delight set, and then multiple ways again to use these relief pastes. These were fun. So like I mentioned in the intro, I will have that other video linked in the very end screen at the end, and then below the video, of course, I'll have links to everything I use that you can check out if you're interested. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping and commenting. It helps a ton and I appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!